Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This show is one of the best Spider-Man projects we've ever gotten. I was so skeptical of the show before it came out. Hell, we all were. But maybe we shouldn't have been. It's been over a week since the finale to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man came out. And I still cannot shake the feeling that this should have been in the MCU. We were robbed. Jeff Trammell and his team created a masterpiece of a show and truly showed us the right way to handle this character. Just imagine if our MCU Spider-Man got that same treatment. I truly wish this show stayed canon to the MCU as an origin story for our Peter Parker like it was originally intended. This is what the MCU's version of Spider-Man could have looked like if Marvel had the rights from the beginning of the Infinity Saga. Some changes would have to be made, and that's understandable. I love Tony and Peter's relationship in the MCU. I thought it was great, but I understand the pushback from it. I'm glad that at the time, the MCU didn't bother telling another origin story for Spider-Man. We had just gotten The Amazing Spider-Man and its origin story, so it makes perfect sense for the time as to why they wanted to recast Spider-Man to be someone younger and to tell a high school age story. Although, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man should have been that story. Thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. If you are like me, then you probably have monthly subscriptions to streaming services like TV, games, music, or maybe even something right here on YouTube. Let me tell you, those do add up, and rather quickly. So much so that it's easy to forget how much and how many you're paying for on a monthly basis. This is where Rocket Money comes in. Rocket Money helps you cancel those subscriptions, lower your bills, grow your savings all in one place, and manage your money better. This is what I love about Rocket Money. I was able to cancel over half of those unwanted subscriptions, which in return has saved me money. My wife and I are trying to buy our first home. Saving money is a big part of that. Rocket Money helps us with managing our money so that we can make sure that we are putting the right amount to the side each month in our goals. I don't know about you, but I like saving money. Rocket Money helps its customers up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. So join me and the 5 million users using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/cantina or click the link in the description to get started today. Once again, that is rocketmoney.com/cantina or click the link in the description to get started for free today. This was one of the first times where I felt like this origin story was needed to be told. Not just for Peter, but for all of Spider-Man's rogue gallery and characters. Just think at what that would look like. Seeing Norman Osborn in the MCU at the height of his power during 2016 with the Sokovia Accords. I don't think we've seen someone within the MCU have this much pull. To be honest, it's a little terrifying, and reminds me a lot of when Norman Osborn became president. Doc Ock in this universe would already be established. He'd worked for Oscorp, hates Norman, got framed by Norman, and is now plotting his revenge. This is classic Otto Octavius. Dr. Conners is in this universe as well, already working for Oscorp. We saw a glimpse at how she'll become the Lizard with the experiments going on at Oscorp with the reptiles coming in. The Lizard is coming. This new universe, along with the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and the Inhumans, should be what the next MCU looks like after Secret Wars. We need to have these characters and stories take place. Spider-Man should have his rogue gallery of supervillains, but we also need to have them be pre-established before Peter becomes Spider-Man and has his first interactions with them. This show has that, and it does it so perfectly. It's apparent, even within the first episode, that this show was originally meant to be in the MCU. They not only created shots in the MCU, but also took newer beats to movies like No Way Home, and instead of Peter 2 saving Peter 1, it's Lonnie Lincoln Tombstone saving Spider-Man from killing Matt Gargan's Scorpion. I know it's not live action, but this is the first time in a long time where Scorpion didn't feel like a joke and was an actual threat. All of Spider-Man's villains in this show did. Spider-Man Homecoming had this as well with the Vulture. They have done it before in the MCU, and they still can do it now. Having this show be the first time that Daredevil and Spider-Man meet and also fight was awesome. I cannot believe that they got Charlie Cox to come in and voice Matt Murdock. I hope that one day we get a similar action with Peter and Matt. Have them fight on the rooftop of Oscorp, or any building. Just give me this scene and this interaction with the two. Also, having Daredevil being the leader of the street side heroes of this universe was perfect. Daredevil and Finesse working together and infiltrating Oscorp would have been insane to see in live action. Now, enough about these characters and what could have and what should have been. Jeff Trammell and his team were able to show that they know how to handle this character and that they can still bring emotional beats while staying true to the character and not assassinating them. Having Peter constantly struggle with whether he is doing the right thing as Spider-Man, while also struggling to be Peter Parker and focusing on school, is one of the great things that makes Peter Parker who he is. We see that he already has the mindset established before he's even bitten by that spider. Peter, without any powers, stands up against a symbiote alien to try and save Nico. Spider-Man is powerless here, but is so selfless in his actions. It reminds me of this quote from Captain America, the First Avenger, from Dr. Erskine.
The serum amplifies everything that is inside, so good becomes great, bad becomes worse. Because the strong man, who has known power all his life, may lose respect for that power. But a weak man knows the value of strength and knows compassion.
This applies to Peter and Spider-Man as well. We know that Spider-Man has to pull his punches, and that he does. Norman sees that and tries to exploit it and push Spider-Man over that edge. If it wasn't for Lonnie Lincoln being recently exposed to that Diox 3, Spider-Man would have crossed that line and killed Scorpion. Peter's struggle of doing what's right is what makes Spider-Man so special. He doesn't want to hurt anyone, but he doesn't want anyone that he loves to get hurt. It's been shown time and time again that Spider-Man can hardly have both, and for very long. Peter Parker almost ceases to exist because of Spider-Man. This show is showing us that, but in a different light. But also, a vastly populated Marvel universe with countless Marvel characters that can make these stories connect and intertwine like a fully established universe should. Hudson Thames is Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I loved his take on the character in What If, and it has only grown from this show. But before you go any further, I'm going to briefly talk about the finale surprise cameo. So if you don't want to be spoiled, now is the time to click away. Having Richard Parker still alive and in prison in this universe is something I never would have expected. Does Peter know about his father being in prison? I hope Season 2 will go further into this. I don't know. In The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, we sort of got something similar with the backstory to Peter's parents, but I feel like it never really committed to telling a true story of that. I can already tell from how this was set up, with Josh Keaton voicing, and the way the scene was structured, that this is going to be a major plot point for Season 2, and maybe even trickled into Season 3. We know that Harry is starting his own company and is now the CEO of Web. Peter and him are now scouting for recruits. Amadeus Cho, Asha, Max Dillon Electro, Finesse, Ned Leeds Hobgoblin, and more. This universe is only growing, and I cannot wait to see where it leads with Season 2 and 3. Do you think we were robbed of having the show in the MCU? Let me know in the comments down below. I love Season 1, and I hope you all did as well. I slept on the show, and I shouldn't have. Let me be an example for you all. Never judge a book by its cover. Joe from Jar Jar Jargon and I will be going live this Sunday for another episode of Cantina Jargon, where we will be doing a deep dive on the Endor Season 2 trailer and Kathleen Kennedy leaving Lucasfilm. So make sure to subscribe and turn that notification bell on so you do not miss that stream. With all that being said, this has been Caden, or Cantina Talk, and I will see you all in the next one.